Hey guys, you've heard us talk about Barbell Apparel over the years, and that's because they have been awesome partners with us here at 307 Project for a long, long time. They have got the best apparel on the market. They've got something for pretty much all different walks of life, whether you need collared shirts, whether you need pants to wear out on the range or to work in, good quality, comfortable jeans, running shorts, technical shirts for all different types of sports, running, swimming, not swimming. You don't wear a shirt when you swim, cycling, whatever it may be. The ultralight tech tee is probably my favorite. These long pants right here, these are the covert pants from Barbell Apparel. It's a really great summertime lightweight pant that's super functional, fits well. It's not going to be baggy. It's going to move with you. They're great for the range. They're great for working out on the farm, whatever it may be. The covert pant is my go-to for the middle of the summer when it's a little too hot for jeans and denim. This is what I go to. So you guys check them out at barbellapparel.com. It's an amazing company with great products, and I promise you, you're not going to be disappointed. They stand behind their products, and check them out. If you want to support us here at 307 Project, that's one way to do it, barbellapparel.com. Outstanding. We got a full house today on the podcast, and a topic today that I've been really wanting to discuss. I think it's an important thing, and it's something that I have seen changing over the course of my lifetime, but especially over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 years. And when I say changing, I mean changing in a bad way, not a good way. And I've taken notice of it, and that's homelessness. That's what we're going to be talking about today. We have my friend Stacy, and Stacy's been on the podcast before. She is the president at the Davies Shelter. I'm assuming that's still correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have Kylie. He is a artist, musician, and an all-around neighborhood good guy. But I got a feeling Kylie's got a unique story, and we're thankful to have him here today. It's the first time I've got to meet you, brother.
Well, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate you being willing to come on and share with us your experience, man.
Yes.
And then we have Brother Matt. Matt, you're the executive director at the Davies Shelter.
Yep.
And we're going to get into what the Davies Shelter is here in just a minute, and just introduce everybody to what you guys are doing and kind of what's happening there, and then we'll move into the conversation. But I first got a few questions for you guys. Stacy, what is your power animal?
Oh, power animal.
I'm glad you asked her first.
Right. Man, I think that's a hard one for me because I have so many animals, but I probably relate the most to my horses. I think that they say that horses mirror people's souls, like they can really empathize with folks. And I think when I'm in my power, I'm in my like empathy and compassion, but know how to wield it well, know how to use it for good for others. So yeah, I think that would be mine, is a horse.
I like it.
Yeah.
Typical woman answer, but women and horses, man.
You just got to know.
I don't know what it is.
You
It's a whole
got to
thing.
know.
Stacey, if we weren't such good friends, I wouldn't have said that. But
I was gonna say a cow, but then I didn't want to go that way.
I
I don't want to be equated to a cow.
I feel like I have liberty today to say whatever pops into my head because I've known Stacey for so long. So, all right, Kylie, favorite superhero?
Has to be Batman.
That's a good one, brother.
Yeah, he's a regular person. But he's tenacious. He's the greatest detective, and I keep kind of hours like Batman. You never see us in the same room together. Who knows?
That's good, man. That's a good choice.
Batman.
The old Batmans too. I mean, the new ones are good, but the old. I watched one of the OG. Maybe it was the first one on a flight the other day, and it was like so epic.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. You watch any TV, man? from time to time?
Yeah, every now and then.
Okay, if you could, all right, you could only watch one thing on TV for the rest of your life, whether it's a series, a show, a movie, you only got one thing. When you turn the TV on, that's what's going to play for the rest of your life. What would that be?
Seinfeld. It's easy.
Seinfeld.
Easy, man. That's easy.
I've never watched a single episode of Seinfeld. Is it that good?
Dude, I'm telling you, dude. It's like, it's so good. It's the show about nothing. I mean, it's just so it's just intriguing to the little bits of life they pick out and make fun of. So good.
So it's a masterpiece.
It's dry humor.
Yeah,
it's
good.
Probably over your head.
Okay.
Ooh, my.
So I'm an Andy Griffith guy.
Okay.
Now I have found a new love though for the Waltons. Have y'all ever seen the Waltons?
The Waltons.
When
John Boy.
when I first watched it, I didn't like it because I thought John Boy was a sissy and I thought he was too whiny, you know, but I grew to love him.
Yeah.
You know, and I still don't know that the Waltons is on par with Andy Griffith, but it's right there close.
Yeah, Andy, you can't hardly beat Andy.
I'm going to have to check out Seinfeld, man.
Yeah, it's just really dumb humor. And probably part of it is too, it was like 9 o'clock at my house, my parents, in those years when I was still around, and Seinfeld was on. And we're sitting in the living room, and my dad, you know, hearing my dad laugh. So it's probably a lot more sentimental than anything. But I tell you, the other one I really liked was Green Acres. I got hooked on Green Acres in college, man. That's a pretty good show too.
I'm so glad you didn't say Friends. I was worried you were going to be like, the other one I like is Friends.
Even if it was, I'm not going to tell you. I've watched enough of your podcasts to know that you don't say Friends to you.
My wife likes the show Friends, and I watch that show, and I'm like, this show had to have been the impetus for the moral degradation of our nation. I mean, it just flaunts so many just open, just nasty lifestyles and adultery and homosexuality and all this stuff. I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm coming from a Christian worldview. I don't know how much you guys know about me, right, but the show just flaunts all this. I'm like, turn that off. But she likes it. I don't know. To each his own. I'm going on a rant here.
Go back to your Andy Griffith.
Yeah, I'm going on a rant here. All right. You guys tell me about the Davies Shelter. Whoever has it on their heart to share about what's happening at the Davies Shelter, because that's kind of going to be a big part of our conversation today.
Yeah. I'd love to share just my own personal story with how I got connected to the Davies, because I think it speaks to what the Davies Shelter does and what it's about. But the Davies Shelter is our local shelter here in Rome that serves the homeless community. And we have a men's shelter and a women and children's shelter, so at 2 different locations. But we also have a farm and garden program that helps with food insecurity in the community. So I had an encounter with a young mom probably 7 years ago, actually right after church. I go to church downtown in Rome, and this mom was experiencing homelessness and living out of her car. And like many of us, been approached and asked if I could help her out and give her some money. And I always wrestle with that, like, do you give money? Do you not? Like, is this helping? Is it hurting? And in that moment, honestly, I felt convicted to just sit with her and talk to her. And her kids were in the car going crazy. It was like July. It was super hot. So she just said, yeah, I was working at McDonald's, lost my job, couldn't make it because of childcare. And couldn't keep up with my apartment rent. So I've been staying at one of the motels downtown, and it's about $500 a week to stay at one of these motels. And I knew the motel she was talking about. It's horrible. I mean, it's where a lot of like sex trafficking goes on. It's again, I think it's a complicated issue, but this scenario for her was definitely like she was not in a safe place and her kids weren't in a safe place. So we began chatting, and I asked her, I was like, have you considered going to a shelter, like a homeless shelter? Could we get you somewhere? And so she was like, well, the Salvation Army only accepts single women, and then another shelter in town you have to be abused to get there. And so so then I knew a friend that was connected to the Davies Shelter, and I gave them a call, and anyways, got her connected with them, got her placed, and really like continued the journey and the relationship with her. And you know, it was a long journey. I mean, she was at the shelter for maybe 9 months, just trying to get back on her feet, trying to build her income back up so she could get housing again. And yeah, I got to see her. I got to see the staff at the shelter walk with her, and learned a little bit more about just what was going on at the shelter. So I started volunteering. And one of the things that I started doing was I signed up to do a meal once a month, and some local college students were also doing a meal and working in the garden. So I'd bring my girls out because, you know, I love gardening, just like Brooke. And I felt like that was a gift that I could use to serve. So just started like showing up at the men's shelter and the women's shelter once a month. And yeah, just working in the garden with my girls and bringing a meal. I'd usually make a dessert that I felt like would be something that felt like, you know, comfort food. You know, it was usually banana pudding, apple cake, something that my grandma would have made. You know, I used a lot of recipes, and just started doing that. And that was like a rhythm. I just committed myself to it. And I started seeing, like, my kids started asking, like, are we going to the shelter this month? Like, are we going to take a meal? And, you know, the men would come out, we'd work in the garden, we'd harvest tomatoes, and then go in the kitchen and, you know, cook up a salad or make some tomato pie and serve the meal together. And so after doing that for a few months at the men's shelter, I remember this was a moment for me where I just realized, like, I don't really know what this experience is like. Like, this is homelessness has a recovery process to it. And it's individualized. It's complicated on why different people were there. I mean, you know, it really challenged my perspective on what homelessness looks like. And I remember one meal I was serving. I was in the kitchen and was getting all the food set up. And one of the guys staying at the shelter came back and said to me, "Hey, thank you so much for coming. Like, thank you for bringing your kids. Like, oh, we love it when y'all show up. You know, it's fun to connect and see you every month." He goes, "But would you eat with us?" And that was huge for me, you know, because it was like, don't just come and serve me. Like, come and be in relationship with me. Come and sit at the table. Come and connect with me. Come hear my story. And I was like, absolutely, you know, and I sat my girls down, and we all started talking and connecting, and that really changed the way I served at the Davies Shelter. My mindset shifted, where it really became more about me entering in to be mindful of what has been given to me, and also what has been done for me. You know, I think there's a sense of recognizing, like, it's not a situation of like the strong is serving the weak, but it's a situation of like when we're serving others that are in a place of struggle, like, we ourselves have the opportunity to be reminded of the struggle that we've experienced, the grace that's been given to us, the relationship that's been offered to us. And to enter into that and really embody that, I think, there's a scripture in 1 John that talks about, like, if you have material possessions and you see a brother and sister in need and you do not have compassion, then you do not have the love of God in you. And I think that's like how we experience, how we continue to be reminded of, like, we're not just in this position to give to others, but we are also in this position, or we're receiving constantly from our Lord. And so in that serving position of others, it's important to sit around the table, not be in a position where you're constantly like positioning yourself on the other side in a place of, I'm going to serve you at arm's length. So I would say in my relationship with the Davies Shelter, I've been grateful to volunteer there, and then was asked to be on the board, and then that transitioned to a leadership role with the Davies, where I became the president and have been serving as the president for the last 2 years. And so I've been in this ministry for 7 years now, and I would say it's been one of the most transformative things that I have done in my local community.
That's awesome. You kind of touched on there for a minute the part of us that doesn't want to show, and us, I mean general population, like doesn't want to show compassion toward the homeless population. And I think that is because in general there are some really common assumptions about homeless people who are experiencing homelessness, right? And those common assumptions that even I have been guilty of having, they seem logical to me in my shoes. And so we're going to talk through those common assumptions about people experiencing homelessness. We're going to unpack those here in a little bit, because I really think those are a huge barrier between just the general population and then people who are experiencing homelessness in the town that we live in, the space that we're, conducting our business in. And I think overcoming those and understanding that those are actually probably incorrect assumptions, and that this is far more complex than what you can understand. At least me, I can understand, giving the life that I've been been able to live. So I want to kick it over to Kylie. What's your connection with the Davies Shelter, brother?
I'm a guest there. I had a slum landlord who basically took advantage of me and didn't fix my place. And I took it personal as a man-to-man instead of a business situation. Had a mental breakdown. Realized I needed to go where the help was. And I decided to give the Davies Shelter a real try, see their program and how they help people, and the references to mental health and therapy, and just me not being alone and inside of a structure. And it was the best decision I've made in a long time, because you can't even threaten anybody. Tell them, pay me by Friday, you're going to jail. Fix my stuff or else you're going to jail. And I'm from the streets where just don't let people rob you and get away with it. We're not in that time anymore, and I guess the best thing that I ever did was just admit that I probably need help for the rest of my life. And I'm fine with that. And I need to be around good people who care, or at least are trying to care, because there's electricians, there's certified forklift drivers, there's plumbers and master craftsmen. Many ways you can have skills and still be homeless. Many ways. And definitely the God structure of it too. Something that is Christian and religious based, where they're not just letting anybody come in the door that's not trying. You have to be vetted, and they have to see, are you willing to do the steps that they ask you to do? in order to get your life in a better order. And so me as a guest, my compassion is like I work there. You know, I sit there and I work with the people, the men, every day. We sit there and we talk about how their day was, how my day was, what we could do to do better. And, you know, I wished we had more than just one Davies Shelter. There's thousands of people living in the woods all around us. I had the privilege of meeting some of them. Come to find out, they just like me, just like you. They just may have been betrayed a little more than often, may not be able to figure out how to pay this high, ridiculous rent. You know, may have been taken advantage of before and just decided to live this way. Millions of people living in cars right now, you know, and so I appreciate your heart and wanting to talk about this because I live it, but I think homelessness in the Davies Shelter is a extreme term because I'm a guest. I'm not homeless.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm in transition. And instead of healing, I wanted to go above healing and just transform into the man God made me be.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, and so one day at a time, we were just talking 1 minute at a time sometimes.
Yeah, most times.
But God is good all the time. You just got to work with you. You got to be open to receive the fact you do need help. Whatever you're doing might have been buoyant, but these people out here will steal from you and make you the villain of it. You know, and that's just my personal experience. I don't know how long it's going to take, but thankfully, when I do get wherever I need to be, I'm not going to be alone. And that's what matters to me.
That's
good.
right, friend.
Yeah.
I think that's a good word for anyone in any situation. I mean,
Right.
You know, in terms of it's so funny how we live in a culture now where we like to imagine, because of the convenience that we have, because of technology, because of the way things are in this modern age, that okay, we can do this life alone, and it's a lie. That we tell ourselves it's a lie, because even in spite of all the convenience, the technology, the grocery stores, the opportunity that surrounds you here in this country that we live in, you still are not going you're not going to be able to go through this life alone without crashing and burning at some point.
Yeah, you know, when I came to the conclusion, because it is pride swallowing, as you know, as Batman, you know, I say it is pride swallowing. But then I realized that was all imaginary too.
Yeah.
That I was born this way, man. You know, I got a big heart. It's easy to trick me because I'm not looking for the deception in it, except for this is my life. This is me trying to take care of myself, and people take advantage of you. If you don't feel, you know, you see every day somebody throw their life away over road rage or somebody looking at them the wrong way. Imagine how you would feel if you gave somebody thousands of dollars and they never fixed your place. And then instead of them fixing it, they give you a notice to quit and repossess it and say that you're responsible for the stuff that was never fixed. Because I've been through it. And my wires were crossed. I had to just get on my knees and say, Lord, you know, this isn't about me anymore. Had to murder my ego and just realize that at my core, through all the chaos, I still was a good person. And I need to be around good people. And I will for the rest of my life.
That's good, man. How long have you been a guest at the Davies Shelter?
7 months.
7 months. Okay.
Yeah.
You touched on another thing too, Kylie, that I think is a important thing to point out in the conversation around this topic. And you said thank you for being willing to sit down and talk about this. And the reality is, this is not something that's being talked about.
That's right.
On a national scale, even on a local scale. I mean, it is not it's not part of the conversation really in culture. You know, we would rather talk about a post that Donald Trump made
anything
or
else.
something that somebody said on, you know, this thing or that thing, or it's like, but here's something that's glaring.
Yeah.
That
see.
You actually have the ability to make an impact. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird?
It is.
Well, what it is,
we could end it.
Well, what it is when you look somebody in the eyes that doesn't know what to do, it's easy for you to say, well, how come, you know, they don't borrow money from their parents, or, you know, these ridiculous ideas of imagining that you can just go downtown, sign on something, and they'll give you a place. What if you have a mental problem where you need love? You know, you need somebody in your life that's not going to leave you.
Yeah.
In recovery and past recovery. And to see people that have inherited something from their parents and say, well, how can this person be poor? It just blows my mind. It's no compassion. These people are worthy of love, man. They just need some real direction. Instead of saying, go get a job, why don't you tell them that Al over there is hiring and he's waiting for you? It's a big difference. Because, of course, they're thinking about getting a job, but how can you get a job with no address?
Yeah.
You don't even have the proper clothes. It is such the basic things that people just overlook.
Yeah, we take for granted. Yeah.
Or the transportation to get there.
Or the transportation to get there.
Well, the great separator in all of this, I think, in between people who are homeless and people who are not, is a safety net.
Right.
I mean, I could tell you story after story in my own life where if I wasn't able to call my parents to bail me out of something, or my sister or my brother or my church or whoever, but by God's grace, I'd be sleeping on a sidewalk. And I don't know why that makes us so uncomfortable to want to talk about it. I can't quite grab that, why we don't want to talk about it. It's something, it is nuts. It's something we could fix.
Yeah.
Evangelical churches, just say churches. I am one, not a church, but evangelical, could end it if they wanted to. End it.
That's a bold statement, and I think I think that's really touching on one of the common myths or common assumptions about people experiencing homelessness. I think that one of the reasons that it is not talked about is because the common belief is that we can't fix this.
Yeah, that's a
I
lot.
think that is the most common belief among the general population who lives a lifestyle like I live. We can't fix this, man. Like, maybe we can help out here and there, knock dents in it here and there, maybe so help one or two, but look, it's always going to be this way. So it's a bold statement that you're making that I think flies directly in the face of the common assumption of the general population.
Yeah, and I think, not to push back a little bit, but I think you're more optimistic maybe than me. I think I think folks don't want to fix it. I think we're so self-centered in our country. We're so self-centered in our culture that it's like, I would do that, but man, I want that new iPad. I could take care of this part, but man, I really want. And churches are, churches, businesses, we have great church partners. Great church partners. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without the church. But there's over 100 churches just in our county. And I'm telling you, they could end it. They could end it. And I think that's reflective of not just in our county, but in our country, across our nation. It's a matter of want to. I don't think it's a matter of, we're doggone Americans, man. We think we can do anything.
Right.
I think there is an aspect to, well, we've always had people who are homeless, so, we're always going to have. I think there's some truth to that. But I believe that we've just gotten to the point where out of sight, out of mind. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want to talk to those people. We don't want to. I mean, I've done ministry to our friends experiencing homelessness in urban, rural, and it's always the same pushback. Two things: if you help them, they'll stay and they'll bring their friends. And the second is, it's going to hurt the economy or the property value or whatever. It's going to hurt our paycheck. And so everywhere I've been, whether it was in downtown Atlanta or in South Georgia, tiny city, that's the pushback. And but I think that's a minority too. I don't think I mean, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation if there wasn't a growing swell of people saying, no, we got to do something. We got to do something. I mean, that's what happened at Davies, 20 years ago, is a lady said, hey, we don't need people sleeping outside. We need to provide them somewhere to sleep. And she went in and told somebody at one of her pastors at her church and said, hey, I'm opening a homeless shelter. And he said, okay, you're crazy, but here's your first dollar. And then it went. And it was just two people at that point that said, hey, let's do this. And now we have a women's shelter, we have a men's shelter. And like Kylie said, we need more because the number's growing and it's only going to continue to grow.
And my issue is, since the beginning of man, there's always been a percentage of people that needed help, but it's always some kind of shock.
Yeah.
To develop a real budget and a real plan to do it. We have Christian builders, we got accountants and all of these things we have access to crunch the numbers. If you just take a ride and see all of these empty houses, we have so many empty houses. I'll tell you, me as a man, I would love to be a skilled laborer and help somebody build my own house. I would do that.
Yeah. Right.
Was it going to rot there, or 6 months it could be somebody living in there? To save one life is what the Creator wanted to do, right? Just one. And we in society is they're envious that people get help. It's like
There's something to that. Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like they need help. They don't think like you. They didn't have access to everything, like whatever it is.
What Matt, what's the major resource that's lacking?
Housing.
Housing, okay.
Yeah, housing. So
Of available housing,
affordable available housing.
Yes.
Okay.
Right at half, the numbers fluctuate a little bit. Between 45% and 55% of renters in our country are, the government has said that that your housing should be 30% of your income or less. Okay? So half the renters in our country are above that number. Their rent, their housing costs more than 30%. A big chunk of that number is over 50%. Somebody just here, somebody would have to make $17 an hour to rent a one bedroom. Because rent for a one bedroom here, one bedroom, one bath is about $1,000. Somebody to stay within that 30%, somebody would have to make $17 to $18 an hour. That's just to survive. That's not breathing room. That's just to survive. And so we don't have that affordable component of housing. It's not there. And how's somebody going to come out of the shelter, out of Davies, and have basically 40 grand right here, right now, ready to go?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's just not
and the financial savvy to even put that together.
Yeah, and like too many of us, credit's not great in most culture, but certainly in those that are either impoverished or close. So they can't find a place that'll let them rent without an exorbitant amount of money down. Stacy hit on a major issue. We got these week by week hotels that are $300 to $500 a week. I mean, Harry, that's impossible.
So Matt, you're really bringing to the surface a underlying issue that I have put a lot of thought into, and it is housing, and not even just specifically as it pertains to solving this, this homelessness that is increasing. But I'm even thinking about along the same lines. What on earth are 18, 19, 20-year-old middle class young men who want to start a family? What options do they have? I mean, they have no options. They have none. And I don't know. I've thought about this. What is happening? Like how? Because when I was young and I graduated high school, I remember I could go in the area that I wanted to live in. I could purchase a home on a 1 acre lot for $45,000 or $50,000 that I could just move right into, and it might need little things fixed up here and there, but like I had that option to do that. This generation doesn't have that option, and I had a friend one time. He's a he's still my friend. He's a multimillionaire, and I asked him. I said, "Why don't you own rental properties?" And he said, "Because it's immoral." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "I will never choose to make my money or basically off of something that is a necessity for human life and that should be available to everyone." I mean, here in America, that's one of our core fundamental rights, is the right to own private property. Right. And because of greed, and because of these slumlords, and look, I know men that they have made their living for decades because they own entire streets right down here in downtown Rome, and they rent all those houses out. Mm-hmm. That is. I do think you can make a case that that's immoral. I don't know that I could ever convince those men of that, but it's like, hey, dude, that's one of those houses that should be available for a family to live in, to own, to start their life in, to get their feet off the ground. That doesn't exist anymore. And now we have massive corporations that are doing the same thing on a scale that's 1,000x what the slumlord's doing. Yeah. Where is that going to lead to?
Oh, I can tell you. We moved down to East Atlanta, Little 5 Points, to plant a church. My family, my wife, and my 3 children. This was in 2013. 2013, we moved down there. We rented a house, $1,500, just a dump. It's the only one we could find. It wasn't the one we could afford. It was the only one we could find. Right. So while we were there for 7 years, it went from $1,350, I think is where it started, somewhere in there, and we were paying $3,000 a month in rent in a shoebox dump. The house next to us was on a double city lot. Guy bought it for a corporation bought it for $385,000, tore it down, built a house, sold it for $900,000. This young couple, I don't know, I must have been printing money. I don't know where they got it. Bought the house, lived there a year, decided to move, sold it for $1.3 million. And it's everywhere. So one of the big issues we have right now is Rome is this area in rural areas. While we're seeing this influx of our friends experiencing homelessness, is because our cities around us are gentrifying, and what's going on is that they're jacking everything up. Price wise, they're outpricing anybody that's been there. I mean, I watched little old ladies who were born at Grady Hospital downtown Atlanta have to leave their homes because they could not, their house paid for, but couldn't afford the taxes anymore. And so, again, we could talk for days and days and days, looking at why and what to do. But see, now what's happening is the homeless population is off the chart. Southwest Atlanta, it's all pushing that way, and then it's also pushing it into counties around, and that's we're growing because we're right here in between. Three fairly big cities, one giant city, of course, and then two others. And so what's happening is nobody can afford to live there. We're talking about people, not people that I don't know. There's this idea that there's people who live on the street, and then there's that group of people who are homeless, but then there's also, but now we're seeing this group where we're seeing it's families, man. There's moms and dads and husbands and wives and children, and it's people who have lived in a home for 20 years. And landlord, greedy, homeowner says, well, I can quadruple my money. Right. You got to go. So now they got kids in school in that neighborhood, and they can't afford to, they're getting kicked out of their house, and there's nowhere for them to go right there. So now they got to uproot the kids. They got to go here. Well, that happens enough, and then they have to drive to their job. My wife taught downtown Atlanta, taught at a middle school. Maybe 5% of those teachers could afford to live in the city they taught in. They were all driving an hour in. So and once that starts happening, it snowballs, and let's say somebody has a heart attack, or there's a car wreck, or there's a divorce, or whatever, this big epic life thing happens, they're already teetering, financially, and then all of a sudden something hits, and it's like, oh man, they lose their job, they lose their house, they lose their job, they lose their family, their car, they can't get insurance. I mean, it's a whole thing.
I think that's a good thing for everyone listening to acknowledge. Like a good part of reality that we forget. I'll speak for myself personally. I have everything plus
me too.
A lot. Okay? I'm literally one thing away from having nothing.
Right.
I'm one. I'm one thing away that I can't see coming. Yeah. That I have no control over. To nothing, man. That's the reality for all of us. Let's look at some statistics real quick. This is just kind of broad, but these statistics definitely, I'm not a statistics guy because, how do you accurately measure? How do you accurately count? I would have to guess that even these statistics are far less than what the actual population of people experiencing homelessness is in this nation, but these statistics do align with what I'm seeing around me.
Yeah.
Homelessness in the U.S. has reached record highs recently, with a sharp 18% increase from 2023 to 2024. Wow. Mm-hmm. Totaling over 771,000 people experiencing homelessness. That is the highest number since data collection began in 2007. And it's really difficult to find statistics on this current year. It seems like most of what I could find was up to 2024. I don't know if it takes them a while to process it.
They do it during the census.
Yeah.
Every time there's a census
and there's the annual count, January.
Yeah, which is through the census. Yeah.
So every year there's a January count.
Mm-hmm. So that probably hasn't been reported yet.
This is, that's pretty astounding. 18% increase in a single year from 23 to 24. And I have witnessed in our community, I do some runs back, on the concrete path and stuff around town, and just from year to year, I am seeing a substantial increase in people experiencing homelessness just in this little microcosm of, the place that we live in, but also when I travel a lot. And just in my travels, I mean, it's glaring that wow, I haven't seen anything like this before at this level in my lifetime. So that increase housing, I think, is a huge part. I mean, what else is playing into this? Because this is substantial, man.
Lack of services, lack of health, real services, also mental health. That number is 18% scary, but I don't know if it's in the same where you read that or where you found that. I don't know if it's in the same article or not, but the worst number is homeless children have doubled in that time.
Mm-hmm.
Doubled.
Yeah.
So I guess if you figure, what is it, 2.5 kids per family, or that used to be the average that everybody had. If there was a husband and a wife or a man and a woman, they had 2.5 kids. That's how is what it averaged out in each family. So I guess if you say the homelessness is 18% overall, they're carrying a couple kids with them. Yeah. There's more people sleeping in cars right now, and in these hotels that are just gouging them than I've ever seen in all my life. I've been at this 20-something years, and we really have two situations, right? We have folks that are heading to homelessness, and we have our neighbors that are already there. And Davies does a fantastic job of serving and ministering to those that are already there. And but you got to stop we got to dam it somehow.
And I think it is important to say, as we're talking through these solutions, again, it's a very complicated issue, and it's not a one size fits all, because not everyone experiencing homelessness is also experiencing an addiction.
That's right.
Many, 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 many are. I think that's a whole category of folks, that are homeless because of where they're at in their addiction. And I think that the mental health piece also, on top of that, plays a unique role. But I feel like, it's so hard when we're talking about solutions, because we want to make some general statements that fixes this. And I do think there are solutions and things that need to change in order to move us in a better direction. But man, the amount of folks, even in our community, that are experiencing addiction, like folks I went to high school with, dying by the river, there's such a resistance to enter in to help people that are experiencing addiction and homelessness, because there's a sense of they're choosing that.
Yeah, we're going to get right into this, Stacy. Yeah, we're going to you're leading me right in. And by the way, we haven't even talked about solutions yet. All we've talked about is problems.
Right. Yeah. But I think that's so important about what you're allowing us to do here, is that we got it. It's bad. We want people to know it's bad.
Let's talk about these common assumptions, because it's leading in right to what you're saying here, Stacy. And I think this is going to be relatable to everyone listening if they're honest with themselves. This is something you just touched on just a minute ago, Kylie. One of the common assumptions is people experiencing homelessness just need to get a job.
Right.
I want to get y'all's perspective on that, because that's what people think. That bum, why doesn't he just get a job? Why didn't he learn a skill? Well, Kylie, you're telling me you've got skilled tradesmen that who are experiencing homelessness, man. What but this is what people think. Just get a job, you bum. You can get after it.
It's the phrase, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, but you ain't got no boots.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
And so, and this is from a perspective of, instead of get a job, you bum, follow me, Larry's hiring around the corner. And then who wants to work to just work? Because if you're working for $15 an hour, where you going to live?
Yeah.
Who wants to work to work?
Well, I confess, when I was in when I was in a city and we did a lot of outreach. You just walk the streets, right? And it never dawned on me that housing was the first step. I mean, because I would think, man, these are really smart people. You know, you can tell they're talented. They know, you know, folks that I was running into. And finally, one of them was gracious enough to be like, Matt, you ever slept on a sidewalk? Got up, went to work, came home, slept on a sidewalk.
That'd be rough.
Got up, went to work, and I was like,
over and over and over again.
oh, I just hung my head because, again, I've not experienced it. So, go get a job is, yeah, that's cute to say, but I mean, how you going to do it if you're sleeping if you're in a tent in the woods?
Where is the job? How I'm going to get there?
Right.
You know, I would say this is you could have a box full of Saint Bernard puppies and put them on the corner and then put me there on the corner and they would get them dogs before they would help me. Just to be straight up with you. So how can we get that? How can we bring back that I'm a person and I just need a little bit of help, a little guidance, somebody to tell you could do it or help me realize that I could do it.
Buddy, I tell you what, that right there means a lot, don't it?
It means everything, man.
You know that is a core piece of what brought me to where I am today is a few people in my life that stepped up at the right time and said, "Hey, man, you can do this."
Right, you got this.
Good. You don't. I don't know if people understand how powerful that is. It seems simple. It seems silly, right? But I'm telling you, that's powerful. You're exactly right.
I do it every day, regardless of my personal thing, because it's really personal, right? Mm-hmm. I'm walking with God. I mean, all is as it should be in my life. I'm where I'm supposed to be. If I didn't join the Davies Shelter, I wouldn't be here talking to you. If we help one person believe that they could do it, I don't need the glory. I just want them to do it.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
People are slowly dying and making it, and not even understanding that it's the system, not them. What do you do when you don't know what to do? Because everybody else got something to say about it. But why don't you get a job? You're a bum. You're sitting here and you're getting money holding this. They're not climbing through windows.
That's right.
I have the opportunity to meet people that were unhoused, that were not criminals. I'm from LA and Baltimore, so it blew my mind away that they decided to be homeless with dignity. And you can't help these people that are not doing crime. Who are we then?
Well, Kylie, you're leading right into another common assumption is that people experiencing homelessness are all dangerous and violent.
No.
But man, that's what what people think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I've been guilty of all of these assumptions. You know, approaching a man in town that Stacy and I are both aware of and kind of befriending him the first few times I go up and interact with this man, I'm on edge because it's just baked into us and into our minds that these people experiencing homelessness are violent and dangerous. But in your experience, that's not true.
That is not true.
No, I've never had, I can't think of any. Now, I mean, we've had some scenarios where somebody be drunk or somebody be high, you know, I mean, it get crazy, but never. I raised twins, like 5-year-old twins on the street, walking around, handing out socks and Gold Bond powder. I mean, and never, it's like any other segment of society, right? How many people do we really have in our culture that are dangerous?
Right.
Why would those percentages change just because they sleep outside? I don't know. We just paint these pictures and it's all fear-based, which is not of the Lord. And so what? It is not my life anyway. So what if I go and I do what God's told me to do and go serve somebody that's not, that's having to sleep outside, and I do get hurt? Well, that ain't my life anyway. He didn't give it to me for me. He gave it to me for him. And if I'm going to love my neighbor, then it's going to be dangerous. I'm convinced the most dangerous thing any of us will ever do is love somebody.
Right.
And so we're already putting it out there. I don't know. But to answer your question, I've never been in an experience where I'm trying to think. I can't think of one time where, now, has there been times where it's like a little sketch and, somebody be having some mental break or something, and it may be like,
yeah, in a crisis.
Yeah,
right.
but even they're in their own world, right? It's not that they just trying to get along, man. They're just trying to get along.
I think where that assumption comes from, though, is when we look at a person experiencing homelessness, we see them as desperate, and we think, well, this person has nothing to lose.
Right.
Like they don't care if they go to jail. They don't care if they break a law. Like they could rob me at any minute. They got nothing to lose. They're desperate.
Right. But they're not doing none of that. They're not. And I respect it. I had the opportunity to be around and see that they're not doing. They might collect some cans. Might ask you for 25 cents. But they're just people, man, that need a little love, man. And I don't know what to do. I'm thankful that I'm getting the help that I need. Hopefully I can get stronger and then help somebody else.
Yeah, I feel like on the violent piece, I just want to say, I have in my spirit felt moments where all right, I need to be careful,
Right.
around our friend that you were referring to. Because we all have capacity for great violence and great good. That's in all of us.
Right.
And I do think this person that Chad is referencing, he has a personality disorder, I'm pretty sure. And he also has got some addiction stuff going on, and he gets really dysregulated. And he yells a lot, and he does that very much publicly, and it scares folks. He'll have fits. Now he started coming around the gym, and he honestly moves a little bit like an animal, doesn't he? He kind of looks around, and he kind of poked his head in, and I saw him, and I spoke to him, and he was like, "Is Chad here?" I was like, "No, Chad's not here today." And he's like, "Can you buy me a chocolate milk?" Because Chad had started buying him a protein shake every morning, and he was coming, just for that. And I was like, "Well, sure thing, man. I'll be glad to do that." But again, I think what is so important on this conversation about violent, not violent, are we want to help and control outcomes. And that's not what we're called to do.
That's right. It's good.
We are called to be obedient to what God has given us and to steward that and to extend love because we have first been shown love. And from that posture, not from a place of I don't know if I should give you this $5 or not, because maybe you're going to go, buy a case,
Yeah, like a conditional
thing. Buy some heroin or buy, okay, I've gotten to the point where if I feel like the Lord is laying it on my heart to give them $5, I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because that ain't on me. What is on me is whether or not I'm obedient to what God is calling me to do and give. And, and is giving someone a chocolate milk, at an 8 a.m. gym class when he comes by every day, what's the outcome there? What's the outcome? The outcome is just kindness. In a moment, you extend back to him, you are human, you have needs, you're hungry. Let me buy you chocolate milk.
Well, me and this gentleman that we're talking about here, we actually got to the point where we're sitting down and having conversations together,
which is big.
And he he whatever he's got going on, he's got some special stuff going on. But like, man, I can still sit down and talk to this man. Shake his he shakes my hand like any other man.
Right.
Shakes my hand, you know. And I just love what you said too, Matt, about how look at the percentage of people who are violent just in terms of humanity. Like, why do we want to put some different percentage on this other group of people? And I truly believe it's because we see them as less than human.
Oh,
I think it's because we see them as less than human.
Definitely less than us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I want to ask you too, Kylie, in your experience, Stacy's referenced a few times, how do you handle those interactions when someone experiencing homelessness does ask you for something? Because that's a very uncomfortable. Have you ever been in that position?
I just went through one recently, and the gentleman, he came to me, and I asked him what was wrong with him. I said, what led you to a position where you just feel comfortable asking strangers for stuff? And I saw the wheels turning in his head, and I said, 2 blocks up the street is a church with an orange door. And anybody could walk in there at any time during the day. And I told him sometimes I go in there and I pray. I said, maybe you need to go in there and pray and just give it to God. Because there's something in you that's broken. And you feel very comfortable asking a stranger for something. But you're asking a poor person for something. And when I told him that I was poor too, and he was like, oh, you're right. I'm asking a poor dude for something. But he heard what I said about just going up to St. Peter's Church. The doors are always open. You can go in there, go walk up right to the altar. Nobody's going to bother you. It's a peaceful place. Redo your relationship with God. Work on finding the true self in you. Because hopelessness is a no time limit on it. It's like being severely depressed or going into PTSD until you catch yourself realizing you're in that zone. You may stay in that zone. So it depends on who it is, because I can see timing too. Like if somebody came up to me and they asked me for a soda, but I could tell they were really hurting. I'm going to give you a talking to and a soda, then I'm going to try to get you to go to Highland Rivers like I did. I'm going to give you a solution. I'm not just going to give you something.
That's good.
And that's how I live.
That takes a little extra effort, though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I got time. They got time.
Yeah. That's the truth. That's the truth for all of us, Kylie. Yeah. I mean, I like to imagine that I'm too busy to talk to people.
Right.
All right.
Right.
That's the reality I create for myself. I mean, I was just up here at the store this morning and I had 2 or 3 fans come up and talk to me. And I just get it aggravates me so bad because I'm busy, man. I got a podcast at 12 o'clock. I'm trying to buy this darn tiller. Man, I forgot the pins for my tractor. I got to go back in here. Look, man. Do you think if I would have took a little extra time to make them people feel special and I got here 5 minutes late, would y'all have forgave me for that?
Of course.
That's what this is the reality for all of us, what you're saying. Mm-hmm. We just create a reality in our minds where we don't have time to give a little extra effort in that moment that we're talking about specifically around interacting with someone who is homeless, asking for money. It's a great challenge to us all.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the answer, ask me for money, and I'm going to ask you how you get here. What led you to be comfortable asking strangers for money?
That's a good question.
Because that's from my heart.
Yeah.
I really want to know, because if I can think of it, if you give me something I can think of the answer, I'm going to give it to you.
Well, it's almost like when you tell that story, it's like you helped bring him out of survival zone.
Yeah, come to me, man.
Yeah.
And he's like, you always got a slick hat, man. I love you, man. and he left. He was getting ready to work the whole bus station, but he left.
Well, the great difference between Kylie and I'll say me, I'm not going to speak for anybody else here. The great difference is Kylie's ready for that conversation. because he's not self-absorbed in that moment.
Right.
He's ready for that conversation. He's prepared to be asked and to have an answer when he's asked.
Well, not only is he not self-absorbed, he genuinely cares.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, because that's the next step in this is I can take Kylie's advice and I can ask the same questions, but am I going to listen? And am I going to listen because I think maybe the Almighty God has given me some experience or some piece of something, scripture or some encouragement that I can interject into this person's story at this very moment.
That's good.
Because I can ask the question, but if I don't care, I'm not going to listen. And then at that point, it's a waste of time. So it's very odd to see someone in real life these days that actually cares.
It's a
Like
shock.
Batman?
Yeah,
It's a shock.
you're an outlier.
Thank you.
I want to hit another common assumption here. People experiencing homelessness choose to live outside or live in their car or what. This is, I think, what a lot of us think. They chose to live that way. I mean, what's your take?
Well, maybe their mama died.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the one that was taking care of them passed away. I met people who lost their parents, got into a deep depression, and lost everything. These landlords have put that $500 board on the ground, throw some cheap paint, and then charge $500 more than they did last year for the same place. No. How do you do more if you're doing the best you can? If you're legitimately doing the best you can, how can you do more?
I mean, would anybody make the choice
No.
to not?
I thought I met one time.
Okay.
Digger. He's a Vietnam vet, living on the streets, lived in Little 5 Points for 35 years on the street in front of Wax and Facts, the vinyl record joint down there. And I thought, because we'd always, hey man, we'll get you a place for a couple of nights until we can figure, because we could never get him to go and get like help. We're going to do it. Digger's blind. Digger's gone on to be with the Lord, but I was like, man, do you like it out here? He's like, yes. I was like, so you like? He said, yeah. I can't be inside. I said, huh? He said, I just cannot for more than a couple of minutes be indoors anywhere.
PTSD.
Yeah. So even asking the question, and I knew him for 10 years, 15 years. And even asking the question, I wasn't ready for that, because it really did feel like he was one. No, anybody, I've met hundreds, maybe thousands. Never have I had one that say, man, I just like it out here. I like rummaging through.
Well, I met one person.
Okay.
But it would have to be a mental issue also.
Yeah. Well, that's what you guys are touching on. It's like if you do meet that person who does answer in that way, I think it should be understood that the choice that they're making is rooted in some deeper trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That has never been unpacked, and maybe they don't even realize it's there.
They just adjusted to it to the point where it became quote unquote normal to them, because to live outside is to constantly be a shepherd to your stuff. Because as soon as you leave, somebody's gonna come steal it.
Yeah.
And if you sleep too well, they're gonna come steal it.
They're gonna come steal it. And then you see even though we're in a drought, but these monsoon level rains. Every time it rains, I say, God bless the homeless.
Oh, yeah.
So in terms of theft, is because we talked about that earlier, people assuming that, the majority of people experiencing homelessness are criminals and violent and all this. Is there more theft homeless on homeless? Is that more common than someone experiencing homelessness stealing from someone outside of that, I guess you could call it a community almost.
From my experience, I would say yes.
Okay.
Because they're in the woods. Like a regular dude's not going in the woods to rob some tent, you know. It is, but this guy's trying to get a job, so he has to leave his stuff. These guys are waiting for him to leave so they can take his stuff.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That's real.
It's all, in a certain sense, it's primal.
Yeah.
Oh, it's survival.
It's survival for sure.
Even if they don't, even if it's not even thought about, right? It's just it's an act of, I got to survive. But even, and maybe you could speak to this, or it's only when I've seen that happen, it was always the same two guys.
Yeah, it's the same culprits.
Yeah. Right? It's not like everybody's stealing from everybody.
The Grays against the Blues or nothing, you know. Yeah, but
so I mean,
I'm
that
sure
percentage thing, right? It's still, again,
I'm sure if that guy was in society, he'd be, you know, stealing candy from a baby, you know, like.
That's right.
Gotcha.
It's just who he is, right?
It's just who he is.
Yeah.
But all over on every level, there's always a bad apple.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's always heightened when an unhoused person is involved in it. When there's crime in Beverly Hills, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen? I know I feel like I've witnessed it in our community, and this is how Chad and I kind of entered into this conversation. Was just how many homeless camps are now surfacing. Like specifically in our community, we have 3 rivers that run through our town, and that's a source of place where folks will camp and fish and live until the city drives them out and moves, or they'll find an abandoned warehouse. And but it feels like that is increasing, the camp movement, or maybe
I believe it is too.
Yeah.
I mean, what we've been talked about how high the rent is.
Yeah,
it's still the number, you know, at least the top 3. Once you are down there without somebody that's going to help you figure out your finances, help you find that $17+ an hour job that you could actually do, because to work 12-hour shifts is an intimidating thing to say. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But you're going to have to do a lot of work in order just to get out of that. Without a support structure, it's on you. And who has the fortitude to do that? Very few. It's a very small number of people that can really pull themselves out the mud by themselves. It's a small number of people that may be able to do that. But the first and last month rent plus whatever, you wind up just feeling hopeless, like you can't do it.
Yeah, and Stacey, I would say the movement, the camp structure that you're talking about, which you showed me photos, and maybe we can drop those photos actually into the podcast right now so that people can see what we're talking about. But basically, you showed me photos of a large structure that had been abandoned. Essentially, there were how many did you guess would have been in there? How many people?
How many do you think?
Probably at any given, passing through probably 50.
Yeah.
50 or 60, I would say. I walked it yesterday again. I went and walked about 5 camps. And I'm frustrated with my friends experiencing homelessness because they're bringing it down on them, on their heads when they're doing it the way they're doing it.
Right.
You know,
What do you mean by that?
they're just, so we got issues with way too much stuff being given away.
Happens around Christmas time.
And so
It's about the only time this subject's ever talked about.
Yeah.
yeah,
Man,
right. And so they'll go and they'll get, and there's groups of people, you know, organizations, churches that are doing great work, and they're really just trying to help. But they'll give, you know, tents and blankets and clothes and, you know, the whole bit. And a group will congregate together that are and camp together. Stacey, I think a lot of that is because it's their safety in that, right?
Safety in
I think that's
numbers.
why, and I think we're seeing that increase. But I think we're only seeing the camps increase because of the sheer volume of people. Camps probably used to have 2 or 3 people. Now they have 20 or 30 people.
Yeah, I think it's
just
more
because
too.
of the number of folks experiencing homelessness. But they'll go get a bunch of stuff, and then they'll go camp somewhere, and then city or county or whoever, authorities will come in and say, all right, you got to go. Well, they just leave all their stuff. And then it's because they know if they go back to that church, they're going to get all that stuff again. And then they'll go to another camp, and they'll get removed from that camp, and they leave all their stuff. It's just, you know, every time I talk with somebody that's experiencing homelessness, I'm like, you just got to stop this. You're bringing the heat to yourself, you know.
I have a thread. I have a thread here. I'm curious about, Chad, your perspective on this, because I mean, again, I've never experienced this, but I've camped. But you've lived out, like you've been dropped in the middle of the wilderness as a Navy SEAL and had to live out like survival for weeks and months on end. I mean, just what I would, even though that's a different experience, obviously, but just the experience of being in a place and being so in that survival zone. Like, I feel like that there's a sense of like, you look at it and you're like, this is just shocking. And there's some disgust that comes up, you know, for a lot of people when they see it, because it's just trash. But I think what I'm curious about is like, what is it like having to live out like in the woods like that? I mean, some of these folks have been doing this for, you know, years at this point.
It's extremely difficult, and it's difficult to the point that to me, it is mind-boggling how they survive, like how they don't. Because when you're living outside like that, you ever heard somebody use the term Mother Earth?
Yes.
Like, Mother Earth will kill you.
That's right.
Yeah.
When you are living outside, it is a constant battle against every form of the earth, every element, whether that's rain, cold, wind, heat. It's hard to just stay alive. And that's with having cutting edge, thousands of dollars worth of gear.
Right.
And
that allows me to be out there and to have the training and knowledge to do it. And it's always been miraculous to me. Right. You know, one of the common thoughts I've had just about homelessness is if I ever wind up homeless, I'm walking to Florida, you know, because I don't know how they survive the winter here.
Right. Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. I mean,
we have a lot of losses, actually.
I'm joking here, but they could probably take some of them out of that community and teach the Navy SEALs something about outdoor survival skills, because something they're doing is like, you know, it doesn't register with me, but it's quite miraculous for sure.
And it's a big number, man. It's just a big number. It just blew my mind away when I realized that it was way more people out here in the woods than I thought it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and when you don't have anything, you know, I don't begrudge my friends, my neighbors, for getting the stuff. I don't begrudge them, because when you don't have anything, I mean, you remember as a kid, sitting around a table and, you know, there's that last chicken leg, you know, sitting there, and you're thinking you got, you know, your brother and your sister, and you're the runt, and it's all there, and you're just like, just jonesing, man, to grab that last piece of chicken. Cause you want it, and you know, it's not coming back. It's just that, I think so I don't begrudge somebody that's standing at that church who's giving out blankets to grab 4. I just don't, because they don't know when they're going to get another one. And again, it just drives me crazy, because, you know, you want to, I just know, I know our friends experiencing homelessness are not bad people. All of the common assumptions that you've taken us through, it's just a false sense of what's of reality. It's not, they're not, that they didn't have the net to catch them, whether it was a mental breakdown, whether it was a job loss, whether it was a death. I can't even count the stories that I've heard of families who got kicked out of low income housing because grandma died. and she was on the thing. Her name was on it.
Right.
And there's a waiting list. And so you can't stay because grandma was on the lease, on the agreement, but you got to get on the waiting list now and you got to go.
Right. And you're number 3,222 or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
Look, I mean that whether the listeners want to accept what you just said or not, I mean that's on them. But what you just said is the reality, and the reality for those of us listening who haven't experienced homelessness and been driven to that point. The reality is, at some point in your life, there was that net, there was that thing. No, look, I am not self-made. Look, my wife is an addict. She'll tell you right now, if I wouldn't have been married to you, Chad, I don't know. I don't think I would have survived. It's having that person or those people, and that's the reality for everyone. Whether you want to accept it or not, that's the reality. We're going to take a quick break. I want to move into the next part of our conversation. I want to begin when we come back by talking about why homelessness seems to be so disproportionate in terms of race. Because the stats on that are pretty astounding. All right. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about that. What's going on there, man? Okay. And then I want to move into really talking about solutions, things that you guys have seen and experienced and witnessed that were actually successful in helping people and moving them in the right direction. What does that actually look like? So let's take a break. We'll be back. Hey, really quick, I want to tell you guys about our next race on the calendar. It's called the Mountain Mama Farms Classic. That's going down November the 21st, right here in Northwest Georgia. It is a really grassroots running, racing experience. It's held at a private farm. A friend of ours named Stacy Marshall, Mountain Mama, she has had this farm in her family for generations, and she's opened it up to us for the day to come out and do some running together. It's a really amazing family-friendly environment for us to just come out, do the things that we love, push ourselves, use our bodies, and have good fellowship. So if you're looking for an awesome day, a great experience, bring your family along with you. Check out Mountain Mama Farms. I will attach a link to registration for this race in the description of this episode. I guarantee you it'll be worth your investment and your time if you come out and spend the day with some awesome people at this race. All right, we're going to get into a topic of conversation here that might be uncomfortable for some people. Definitely the area that we live in, I think that when we talk about this specific part of the conversation is going to make people feel all kinds of sort of ways, but these statistics are pretty wild right here. I'm going to read these to y'all, and I just want to get y'all's take on it because I think there's not that we can unpack the entire thing, but I want to get your perspective on it. Homelessness in the U.S. disproportionately affects people of color, with Black Americans, Native Americans, and Pacific Islanders experiencing significantly higher rates compared to their population share. Black Americans make up over 40% of the homeless population here in America. While their numbers in terms of just over, they're 13%. Black Americans, 13% of the U.S. population,
right. Yeah,
but make up over 40% of the homeless population here in the U.S. I mean, when you see that, it's like, okay, well, we ought to talk about this.
Yes, we ought to. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you said, I know people are going to have their hackles up, but what we can't deny in those people groups that you just listed off is that the common theme that I hear is like folks that for generations in our country, way back in history, have been forcefully removed in some form, or have been marginalized through housing. Like specifically, I know, when I think a lot about what went down in the 60s, let's speak to just civil rights movement, like before the civil rights movement, and you have like historic Black neighborhoods that were terrorized, like and there's a reason there's that phrase, across the railroad tracks, because there were communities that were across the railroad tracks. Like our communities were segregated, they were separated. And then after civil rights movements, there were still lots of barriers with that. And I think that the issue's complicated, and I want to be careful because I think to have an opinion on these things that, or have a judgment on a thing that I have not personally experienced is a place of privilege to speak to that. But I do think it's really curious that there's a correlation there racially. And I'm curious is if that, generations of Black families being displaced or marginalized through housing. I know my grandfather told me in our little small country community that we grew up in that he would have to sign for any Black man in the 1970s, like up until like 1977. My grandfather was signing with friends that were Black because a Black man could not get land or get access to land unless a white landowner signed on their behalf.
All the way up to the 70s. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how
that's not long ago.
Yeah, yeah.
I have an interesting fact that I came to the conclusion of, that in my whole family, I'm the first actually free Black person that didn't have to deal with Jim Crow and segregation and all of that. But it doesn't mean I don't have it in my blood, the ancestral trauma. It's hard to be hopeful and think that you can do it when your whole life has been denied the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you may see 3 Black people doing something, doesn't mean that all of them can. But then let's go back to the mental health of it all. From the destroying of Black Wall Street and the Black cities and the Black banks and all of these things, it's like you can see the KKK do a parade down the street. It's hard to be hopeful and that you're part of this society, even though you're a real patriot in your heart and you love America. It's like, does America really love you too?
Man, Kylie, this is, we could do a whole podcast about this.
Yeah.
But like, you are speaking from a place that I can't understand because I can't like that.
Right.
This is what he's saying is like so deep rooted that, and in my ignorance of the majority of my life, I've seen this, these statistics right here. Yeah, the majority of people experiencing homelessness that, well, by these statistics, 40%, a little over 40%, but that's races across the board. So as a single, race, that's a big majority alone. And I'm like, why don't these people just get over it?
Right.
Like, why don't they just get over it? They got all the opportunity that I've got now, but it's as you mature and as the Lord sanctifies you and reveals to you the hardness of your heart and your ignorance and brings you to a place where you're actually able to start empathizing with what's going on, everything changes at that point. It does, man. And
sometimes by accident, I'm representing the whole black race.
yeah.
And I know it. I didn't ask, I'm just a man trying to make it over survival. I don't want to be having to survive this whole time, excuse my language, but I just don't want to feel like that's what I'm here on earth for, is just to survive, to work and die. It's hard when you understand that it's not my fault. I didn't do anything to anybody. I'm not on the run. I'm trying to walk they say at the end of the tunnel is light at the end of the tunnel. They don't teach you how to walk in the light. I want to walk in the light. But we have this pre-made tunnel of people in their mind thinking, well, why don't they just do this? Or it's okay because it's like next time you ride by a construction site and you see how many black people working there. If the kids don't see you retire, how do they know that they can do it? If the kids don't see you going to work every day, buying that Lincoln legitimately, how in their mind even imagine that that's possible? And of course, if you don't have a good co-signer or good credit, hopefully you had your parents teach you that. But if you never was taught that, how can you even get a place? Yeah. So I think that number's higher.
Yeah, I would say. I agree. And again, it comes back to housing. I know we keep beating that horse, but yeah. I'm from a family that's owned property forever. Not the same property, but been allowed to own property forever.
I've never thought about that. Like that's how deep.
Like your grandparents, your grandparents.
That's how deep this goes, man.
They could walk in a bank and say, I found a house. I want to buy it. And our country's built on land ownership, property, and that's how you build generational wealth, is that you own things. Well, if we tell a whole group of people, you're not allowed to own anything for most of our history. And then once we say you can, we say, but you can only buy over there. And if you are going to buy over there, you still got to have somebody that's going to sign for you. Or you got to find a bank that will even loan you money because you're black. I mean, the whole system has been rigged from the beginning. And I could care less about hackles at this point. We have walked down this road so long and been so, we've treated our neighbors so poorly for so long that we got to have the conversation. What we've done, and you hit on it, you said that, you have, your old mindset was that you have all the opportunities that I have.
Do it.
We don't need to speak to the other group of people. We need to talk to us. We're the ones that are still dealing with keeping people where we want them. I used to think, oh man, why don't you look? You went to school, you graduated when I graduated. You should do so. I got no right to talk to you about what you should do.
Right.
All I can control and the only really influence that I can have is amongst my own folk and say, look, we have to admit some things here. We've done wrong. And some of those systems are still in place. It was when right before Carter left his administration, he signed a bunch of law into place to keep our mentally ill neighbors in care and to do all of that. As soon as Reagan gets in, and this is not political, I'm as conservative as anybody's ever been, and so I'm not speaking for one or the other. But as soon as Reagan comes in, he comes in and he builds this whole trickle down economics thing, And he closes all that stuff. And then what he does is he builds this idea of public housing in the sense of, oh, we need to privatize that too. Because all of the white, working poor white had moved out, and the early 80s, we saw the huge economy burst of owning houses and buying houses, and everything went well. So all the white people left the inner city. This happened in Atlanta. Atlanta's the cutting edge. Atlanta set the stage for all of this that we're dealing with right now when it comes to housing. And what happened is Reagan come in and said, oh, we need to privatize all that. The only reason he said we need to get rid of public housing in Atlanta, the Atlanta mayor said we need to get rid of our public housing because we got the Olympics coming in. So Reagan starts to push this Reaganomics thing, and then all the way up until 94, 95, nobody in Atlanta wants anybody to see Techwood, which when Techwood was built, it was the first public housing complex in America, and it was beautiful. It was 90% white when they built it because the city was, the working part of the city was still active, and that's where they lived. And so through the 60s and 70s, and then all of a sudden, it became very clear that people could go out and buy houses and loans, and interest rates dropped, and all that happens, you know. So you see white flight take place. That's why when we start building Gwinnett and all these other counties around, and African Americans, then blacks move into Techwood, and they're like, well, we don't really want projects anymore. So we tore them down. And
this was in the 90s, early
yeah,
90s?
Yeah, right before the Olympics.
Okay.
We tore Techwood down. When I moved into Atlanta, however, 2013, when I moved there, there was one housing project left, one. And it wasn't like what we think of as housing projects. It was based on income, adjusted type stuff. And so now you have a displaced people whose grandmother, great-grandmother, great-grandfather, great-grandfather were never allowed to buy something.
Right.
And so we've taken away any of the government help, any of that type of housing, because that just doesn't exist anymore. And we've also did not allow our neighbors to build that base as families that go back as generations. And so we need to look in the mirror and say, okay, we need to first admit that we had a part in it. And I know, listen, I was born in the 70s. Of course, I could easily say, well, I didn't do any of that.
Right.
You know?
Well, our part in it is what we have inherited.
Yes.
Our part in it is the problem that we face as human beings and citizens of the United States of America. That's
right.
our part in it.
Yeah.
Right.
And are we going to prove that we love our neighbors as Christ told us to love our neighbors and actually do something? Or are we just going to continue to kick the can down the road and be like, well, that's for somebody else to deal with, or I don't know what to do, or that seems hard. I'm so sick of hearing, oh, that just seems hard. Well, shut up and do it. Everything's hard. Let's just do something. I mean, let's have a conversation like you're doing here. Let's ask our guy. Let's ask our friend, hey, why is it hard to get housing for you?
Right. Because
you know what I'm saying? I mean, we got to have those conversations.
What is the brilliance of naming me Kylie just to get me in the door? You understand? If I don't check if I'm black or not, and I just put my name on something, it's more chance that I can get inside that door just because of my name.
That's the reality you've experienced.
That's what I have to deal with. That's the truth. Or if I do get in the door and they realize that I may outperform them naturally, now I got an enemy. Now I'm sabotaged. Something's going to happen. I can't keep this job because I love what I'm doing and it makes me do it well.
Yeah.
They're just doing it to get by. I'm doing it because I got pride in my work. Lose the job. It's
a setup.
It is hardcore, man. And then you got to wake up, every day like a woodpecker. How come you didn't get this done? Why you need this? How about I have put myself now where I have people that are in my life that is more than just me. So if I get into a work site, now you got to deal with the departmental rehab vocational center instead of dealing with Kylie. If something doesn't work out with my landlord, no, you got to talk to John at the Davies Shelter about why you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because just me, you could crush me like a bug and get away with it.
Yeah, and that's what Davies is doing. We're gonna stand in the gap. You're our friend.
Right.
We don't have residents. We don't have, we have guests in our family home. I mean, that's what we had. So that's my brother, right? And I'm going to believe him when he says he's getting mistreated based on the color of his skin. And I'm going to go along, if anybody wants me to, we're going to go shoulder to shoulder, just like I'd go fight any mistreatment. We're going to go to war over that because it's not right. And my brother doesn't deserve to be treated like that. We can't keep just sticking our head in the sand and acting like, well, that don't really happen anymore. No. It's all over the place. Just have a conversation. I was pastoring a church down in Atlanta, and we had two Georgia Tech professors married. She was speaking. The wife was speaking somewhere else in the country, in our country, and she called hysterical. Called my cell phone. She's like, Pastor, I need you to go. I need you to go find Ed. It was her husband's name. I need you to go find Ed. There's been a wreck, and I'm afraid he's going to get arrested. I'm like, okay, where is he? Because I don't know what's going on. She's just losing her mind. And so I go, and it's right on Memorial Drive down in Atlanta. And I go, and I get there, and this Ed is in a suit. He's just come from his babysitter that was babysitting his youngest boy had gotten in a wreck, and the son, had very expensive hearing aids, and they flew when they got in the wreck. And so Ed was trying to find them in the back seat. And when I get there, this cop is talking to Ed like he is an animal, just cussing him and telling him, I'm going to lock you up if you don't get out of the vehicle. And Ed's like, I'm just trying to find these things before they tow the car. He's not. It's out of traffic. It's in a parking lot. There's nothing going on. And this cop is like hand on butt of his gun. And I walk up and I say, Ed, you good? And when I do, the cop turns and looks at me and just calm comes over him. He goes, sir, can I help you? To me. After he's cussing a blue streak at Ed. I'm in like basketball shorts and a ratty t-shirt. I mean, I look like, Ed's standing there in probably a $500 suit. And I said, well, first I'd really appreciate you quit talking to my brother like that. Oh, well, I was, then he goes to, tap dancing. But that happened 7 years ago, 7 years ago. I mean, we gotta talk about that stuff.
But it has been impossible to talk about this stuff, which I think is part of the reason why very little, if no, progress is being made. I mean, I can make the case that it has gotten worse.
Oh, yes.
The divide,
yeah.
And it's even, it's a difficult thing to talk about too, because even when I talk to my brother Kylie, if I call him a Black American, it's putting him in this, in a weird way. It's putting him in,
because I am an American, man.
It's
right.
A category, man. It's just a weird. It's a hard thing to talk about. But like we have to, because we see the just in our recent history. The whether it's the Black Lives Matter movement or some, well, all that does is flares up all the white folks, and it's like we're just not doing it right. We're not doing it right. Like there's some truth to what everybody's saying, but like hold on a minute, man. Like this has got to be fixed, man.
Yeah.
I tell you, when I go through a situation with anybody of any race, I have to decide, is this a racial thing or is this guy just a jerk? Because not all things disagreeable is racist. Maybe this guy's just a straight up idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I have learned that skill. When I was a kid, my mother put me in a sandbox and let me play with anybody that I wanted to play with. I truly don't get racism. Part of me feels like it's a mental disability in itself because it's just made up. I got a song where I say, when the aliens come, we all gonna taste like chicken. You know, it is from my heart though, and the more that I grow, I just want love, man. That's all I want. I don't care. You could be purple, man. Just love me back. Like we have these systems set up that are old, draconian or old feudal systems that don't match our society. They say, well, you can do it by the merit of your work and all of it, but it's really not the truth.
That's right.
And I worry about these youth that just think now it's an option to sleep in a van. That's what they're looking for, to sleep in a van now.
Wow.
And so you're right. We have to. I'm tough enough to talk about it, because I don't think every one race is the same. Like one person, one white guy represents the whole white people. I don't believe that. I believe that some people are jerks and some people aren't. We need to have the good people come together, man.
And aren't we talking about a boisterous minority, honestly, that are just flat out nut jobs when it comes to
tricked.
Race? Yeah,
they're tricked.
And it's part of. I think you're right. There is a mental illness aspect to it because God didn't create us not to like each other because of the color of our skin.
No. It's just made up since the
it's
1400s or something.
Yeah, it's sin. I mean, it's an illness, and it's a sin sickness that we honestly think. I mean, I guess it's just the human nature, right? To make sure that we're better than at least somebody.
If it started doing Red Dawn and we started seeing parachutes flying in the air, you gonna care if I'm black or not, or if I can shoot straight?
Right. Well, look at 9/11. There we were all brothers and sisters.
Right.
No, I mean that kind of stuff. So,
but just like in a bad family, we don't need it to be a funeral for us to come together, right?
Yeah, that's a good word.
I'm willing to try. We don't have no black meetings though, and where I can take it to the black meeting and say, hey y'all.
Oh, we got white meetings. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what I mean? So
I think about how, specifically looking at these statistics and how this conversation plays into people experiencing homelessness, and we saw 40% homeless population, black. It's like, I think specifically the thing that was just a revelation to me in terms of trying to put some sense to that is exactly what you said about the housing stuff and about how mine and yours family, we've been able to own land and have that base, and land equals wealth, and it has throughout history.
Yeah.
And even though maybe I have never received an inheritance from anybody, but maybe somebody before me in my line did. Mm-hmm. And even maybe they had status. And then also just the way that it plays into your mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the way that it just plays into your mindset, man. Like it was astounding for me to hear you say, Kylie, like, it's hard to be sure that I'm actually going to be able to be a part of this culture, like this country. Mm. Even though I'm a patriot and I love my country, like I'm not sure that I'm actually going to be able to be a part of it. Like that blow, like that's wild, man, to me.
But it's the truth.
Because I can't comprehend it,
it's
dude.
my truth.
I know, man.
And millions more, I guarantee you.
I know.
Kylie, do you Do you mind sharing a little bit of your family story?
Oh well, what part? What do you want me to say?
Yeah, just whatever. I know you and I've had conversations that have been very impactful for me, but you know, the struggle generationally
Yeah, well,
that your family has gone through.
well, my family, of course, descendants of slaves, but Black Hebrew Israelites, that believe in Jesus Christ and serve Jesus Christ and believe that you can't be a Christian and a racist at the same time. See, blasphemy to me is one of the things that is keeping us apart. People
Mm.
up there preaching hate, but saying that they represent the God that you believe in. And nobody's doing nothing about it. Nobody's saying, hey, dude, maybe you need to call yourself a Peterite or some new name. But Christians believe in this. We believe in the tenements of what Jesus Christ taught us, to love our neighbor, love our prisoner, But we're not loving our neighbor unless it happens to look like me or you know what I'm trying to say. And so my family, me personally, I never met my father. I don't even know what he looks like. I didn't inherit anything. When I was 17, I had to leave. My first adult decision was making a left or a right. I went towards the buildings. The first homeless shelter I stayed in was called Christopher's Place, and I was too young to go in there. But they believed that I was for real about my situation, and they helped me, and they let me stay there. I have met people most of my life that are unseen, that people ride by every day, that do have skills and do have talents, but not even the feel like they could do it, like to work at SpaceX or to do. And it's embedded racism that we need to deal with, because they're taking religion and they're putting it into racism. And I would explain, if I was running in the dark, being chased by dogs and people, and I saw a church, would I feel safe going that way? What church is it?
Mm.
Yeah, I know it's only one God, but this racism mixed with God, and then you're talking about helping people for you to feel good, or is that really the best you can do? You're doing it so you can say, "Hey, God, look, I'm giving Kylie a sandwich," but you're not going to help me get on my feet or even give me directions. We are. I guess the word is reprobated, when you just damn to your own understanding and think you're doing good. So, that's one of the reasons why I'm here, man, is just to say that it's easy to talk about something like you said that you never experienced.
Yeah.
I'm just like you guys, man. Yeah. I can get struck by lightning just like you guys, But I need love just like you guys. We all do. So how can we fix the fact that we have people in power that don't care about all humans? How is that possible?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
You understand?
We need the king to come back.
Somebody that cares about everybody.
The king of kings.
Right.
Yeah. Dang, man. When you going to write a book, Kylie?
Good.
Whenever I'm able to concentrate past chapter 3 or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
All right. It's a lot of good stuff, man. A lot of stuff I've never heard put that way, And you put it in such a relatable way, because, you start talking about mixing religion with racism and church with racism, and that kind of bothers me. What are you talking about, man?
Telling you the truth.
Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I'm a Christian, man. I ain't never heard nobody preaching racism in a church, right? But then you describe it in the way you described it. If I'm getting chased by dogs and people and I'm running and I see a church, Do I feel safe going to that church? Is that a safe place? Well, hold on. Let me look and see which church it is.
You know,
I mean, that's a profound way to describe what you're talking about. Because I was going to ask you the question, what are you talking about? And you went ahead and answered the question before I asked you the question. Because I can understand that.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're saying, and I can see that as a reality.
it's
you
the
know?
truth.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the truth. It's luckily I haven't personally experienced it, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable, but to tell you a little local history, and I'm gonna probably shake some people up sharing this, but I don't care. Up until 4 years ago in our town, in the downtown, there was a huge 2-story statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest, the founder of the Ku Klux Klan, at the end of our Broad Street, right where South Rome, which is 97% African American, and where our Davies Shelter is located in that community, South Rome. And that was there until 5 years ago. You know, and I know, here's the deal. I have Confederate history. I'm all about telling the history, like being accurate in how we're telling our history. Also, like telling the whole story of that history. Like Nathan Bedford Forrest was a general, but he also like created a huge hate group that wreaked havoc and became the symbol. He became the symbol of violence. So, like, is that the statue we need to remember our history? Like, what would be a more accurate statue to remember that point in history? Like, how do we tell the whole story of the Civil War? Like, everything that happened there. And so, yeah, people get upset because they're like, we shouldn't take the statue down. Well, I'm like, take the statue down. That's not erasing history. I feel like that is a symbol of separation and a symbol of fear that was put up there. Like if your family had encounters with the Ku Klux Klan, which I have memories of the Klan and my early childhood being rampant in this area. I've had encounters with the Klan. And I know they're still here. A lot of them are old, fat white men in Alabama, but they got big guns. And they get angry when you talk about race because there's this message that the history is being erased. And I don't think that's the whole story. Like, I don't think we should erase history at all, but I think we got to be aware of the whole history that we're telling, all the parts of history that come into that.
I love that you clarified that, Stacey, because I'm processing what you guys are saying in my mind, and as you talk about removing statues, that's the first thing that makes the hair on my neck stand up. Well, don't erase. That's part of history. Don't erase history. But it's beautiful how you said, I'm not asking you to erase that, but hey, let's put something there that's a better representation of that period of our history.
Yeah.
You know
or
what
tells
I mean?
the full story of who Nathan Bedford Forrest was.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, it's wonderful, man.
Because we are talking about the kids seeing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And thinking they got a chance. It's like, is it still this way?
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the 1930s, there was a church in our downtown area that was a part of a lynching of 2 black men. And that is in the church history. That is in our local history. That is recorded. Like, you're talking about, what kind of church is this? Like, we got to recognize that there are these parts of history that we haven't told. Now, it's been told, I'm sure, like in the black community and black churches, because there was a place of, we got to tell this history.
Keep it alive.
To keep it alive.
Yeah.
And now we're at a place of like, who's telling the correct history? That's the biggest thing our nation is grappling with. Like, who are the narrators of our history? Like, well, we can't erase our history. We don't need to throw everything out. But I do think we have to recognize, like, some parts of our history have not been told from the perspective of the folks that have been terrorized.
Right.
You know, what does that look like?
And so that number at 40%. How come it doesn't make sense when you put it all on the table, everything? Because I'm just saying pieces. I'm trying to give you a picture from my perspective that, of course, you couldn't imagine. But she's saying, and now you put that together, you can kind of see how that may have a little influence in it, right?
You can.
Yeah.
That number, it does. It starts to make sense from all these different angles that you guys have presented, which is a beautiful part of our conversation, man.
Yeah.
We're starting to make a little bit of sense of stuff. You know, and Kylie, I was gonna ask you. You guys are so good at answering my best questions before I even ask them, but I just want to reiterate, because I was gonna ask you, like, based off of your life experience, the experiences that you've had growing up. Mm-hmm. In the places you've grown up, as the man that you are, what would you say is the number one thing that needs to happen to move the needle in a better direction? And I think and I could phrase this question another way: what do Black Americans need? But you already said it.
Yeah.
The L word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unconditional, though, and understanding that with grace also, because, you know, you meet an older Black man, he got a different perspective of white people. But then somebody might have hung his granddaddy. Like, it's
love with grace.
Yeah. You understand? Yeah. And know that not all Black people are the same, just like not all white people are the same. But I believe if we can get birds of a feather of all sides that are really willing to be vulnerable, willing to be honest and say, listen, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. I didn't do it either. We're all the result of the same thing. Mm-hmm. And it's killing our future. We have to either jump off the treadmill or we're going to keep running into nowhere. We're going to have to maybe a fish fry cook-off, some way to get everybody together.
You just when I think about tangibly, and we're about to talk about solutions in terms of people experiencing homelessness. What have you guys, seen work, and what's been effective in your personal experience and the ministry that you guys are leading? But man, Kylie, you just said something, man. Like, how does this tangibly look? I don't think it looks like hoping the government figures out how to make this work.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Like, that ain't what it's ever gonna look like, man. It's gonna look like, what are we doing right here in Rome, Georgia, or Murchie, Somerville? Like, that's got to be the only fix, because it seems like every time the government gets involved in this conversation, it only creates a deeper and deeper rift.
Yes.
In our country.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just think it's worth pointing that out, man.
No, man, like something like a powwow is set for. We come with a particular purpose to rebuild those bridges that were gone.
Don't that sound good?
Yeah, just story.
Does that not sound good?
That sounds beautiful to me.
I mean, that just struck me in a weird way when you just said that.
Well, thank you for listening, man.
And can you imagine what we could learn? We could learn if we all got in a room and 10 people got up and just told their story about this topic, about this situation.
Right.
Both, whites, blacks, whoever just got up and said, man, let me tell you what.
I've got a story on the other side of this.
Oh,
I used to be extremely racist. I've got my story. You got what if that happened? 'Cause I'm willing to share that about myself. I'm willing to share how that happened to me.
Right.
I'm willing to share what that felt like, how I acted on that. I'm willing to share that. I think all of that needs to be said, man.
How can you heal when how can you heal if you don't even address the wound, man?
That's it, man.
That poison's in there.
So good.
I mean, that poison's in there, and that shame.
Right.
Once you realize, you get on the other side of it, and you're like, "Oh man, that was bad." And then that shame, you're afraid to say anything, and then that shame just eats you and eats you and eats you. But once once it's the Lord brings it to our minds, some of the stuff we've done, there's such good therapy and healing and help, and just saying, "Hey, let me just tell you, I'm not bragging about my sin. I'm not trying to make it great, but I got to tell you what I did. And I got to tell you how I responded, and I got to get it out there because it's killing me." I can look back. This is something I'm very passionate about and have been for a while, but there's about 6 events in my life when I moved to Georgia that began to happen that no doubt in my mind, God was like, "I'm going to fix you, boy. You got some hate in your heart." And I didn't even know it was there. Like, it's weird, right? And though I can look back, so imagine I'm not special by any means. All the people that could stand up on either side and you say, I hate to call sides, that's terrible, right, for a unity gathering.
Right, I understand.
But tell their story, just be like, "Oh man, I can't believe that dude. I did this. I thought the same thing." There's power in that, and it's about that connection. We've been talking about this collaboration, this connection of how can we do something together. Right, you hit it on the head when you said about isolation is I mean, that's a killer, right? We're all gonna die if we're all by ourselves, right. And that goes to every aspect of our lives, and especially, I just believe we're wired to carry one another when we need carrying, and spiritually, emotionally, physically. Financially, whatever it is, that's just the way we're wired.
I mean, there's a reason why we are commanded to go to your brother and make it right.
Yeah.
It's like, do we need to start our own venture capital company? You know what I mean? Except for we look at the real profit versus whatever and make affordable housing,
I've just never thought, this stuff isn't my strength, man. Like, I've just never thought about any of this, like what you guys are talking about, and just how important. I think that's why, like, Kylie, like some of the stuff you said, man, just it's like hitting me weird, man, because I just ain't that. It's just not my strength, It's I don't know, man. I hope the listeners are getting the same experience. I mean, so
well, I feel like that part of that solution is, it's often that we experience pain and hurt through relationships, but we experience the most healing through relationships.
That's good.
Right.
Like, God designed that restorative place in us to be able to repair with one another, because that reconciliation process is to remind us of the reconciliation that has happened here. And like Kylie and I were chatting the other day, and I just felt like just being in community with one another, there's a sense where I'm being changed.
Right.
And I took some chickens over to the men's shelter.
Right. The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls. I took these 3 hens over there. We fixed a little chicken coop for them, and so the guys could have some fresh eggs. And because I had these guys, and they kept getting out at my farm, and I dropped them off at the homeless shelter, and I thought this will bring some entertainment. And it meant a lot to me, Kylie, to like just, hear like when you're having a rough day that those chickens are bringing you some joy.
Well, it's therapy. And remember, I always thank you for being kind to me, but I do that for a reason, because I appreciate it. Because not everybody's kind to me. And I know the difference between somebody really being kind or just being code switching or whatever they're doing.
Mhm.
I don't think we all are here for fake relationships, man. I think that there's enough adults to be able to maybe not solve the world problems, but we live in a bubble, maybe work on our bubble.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the way to attack it.
Right.
Yeah. That's how you eat an elephant, right?
Yeah, right. That's how
one
you
bite
eat
at
it.
a time.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what is the basic like human connection is that we all experience hunger, pain, joy, and loss.
Yes.
Like that is it. Like all of us experience those things. That's the unifying thing.
And I'll tell you, it's a lot of empty places. It'll blow your mind away. If you really looked around when you're riding through, you see all of these derelict houses. Then you say, well, there got to be some Christian guys that can slang a hammer. There's got to be.
And to me, I think that's why it's such a difficult issue, because it's not a pragmatic problem. I mean, we could do. It's got to be a hard issue.
Right.
We're just not willing to do that.
Right.
Because it makes no sense that we have anybody in our county that doesn't have a roof over their head that they can call their own,
right, in
some form or fashion. It makes no sense to me.
You know, I think it's two things. I do think it is a willingness thing, but I also think that it's an awareness thing. Because here's the thing.
You're right.
Here's the thing. If you guys organize a project like that, how many people can you get the word out to? Like, but not that many.
Right.
Like, I think part of this strategy moving forward, it is, I think men like you and you guys and women like you who have dedicated such a large part of your life to this type of ministry, I think it ought to become you guys also being creative about how you can leverage platforms like this.
Right.
That when you have a project like that, when you have an opportunity like that, I mean, I can say on this podcast right now, in 2 months, the Davies Shelter's holding a thing. I'm going to be there, and we're going to go and we're going to rebuild a house over the course of the weekend. I will have 100 people show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I see a disconnect. It's almost like a lot of ministries, a lot of shelters. It's almost like they haven't understood the power of social media, the power of what we're doing right here on and how men and women that have platforms like this, if you ask me to run an ad for something you're doing on the Davies Shelter, I'm not going to charge you a dime.
Right.
It's like there's been a disconnect. It's like I just think that's part of the solution.
Yeah.
It is, hey, let's leverage platforms, let's leverage media to build awareness in the sense of let's put the word out so enough people will show up to get this job done.
Right.
Because if you put the word out trying to utilize the network that you have, you're reaching hundreds, but that doesn't have to be the case. I mean, there's men like me all over this country who would willing to be put the word out for stuff like this.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think those relationships are important. Like, and hopefully that's beginning here today on a micro level. You know what I mean?
Well, this, I don't know how this happened, but I'm pretty sure there was some connection between humans and somebody initiated something, or at least a conversation, as far as us being here, Davies being here today. So we have a staff at Davies, we have a staff of about 5. And it is all that they can do to keep their head above water.
Yeah.
The need is so great. So
They're on the front lines.
it's not that we're not savvy and we don't know. It's just like, okay, I got a group of people that we got a bill at the bus at the transit center that we can't get any more bus passes right now because we didn't pay something that fell through the cracks or whatever. So I get that call. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to handle that situation, and I'm going to push connection with, getting the word out. It sounds like an excuse.
That's the reality.
But that's, so we need it's very, very helpful. This is extremely helpful for me to be in this setting on this platform with you, to hear you say that and to realize, okay, yeah, that couldn't be that hard. And maybe after this, I'll ask Chad, I'll say, hey, do you know anybody else I could reach out to that would put the work? You know what I mean?
That's what I'm talking
and
about.
So but this has to happen.
Yeah.
It's hard to create that, I guess.
Chad, when you and I had that conversation and you said to me, like, let's do it. Like, let's do a podcast on this. I mean, part of me was nervous, because I was like, oh gosh, this is a complicated issue. Like, how do we unpack all this, and what's the listeners going to think? But man, I just want to, as my brother and friend, like, I appreciate you owning the power of your presence. And I think that that's a call for all of us, because we all have, we own the power of our presence. We own like what our capacity is and what our capabilities are. And so for you to reach out and kind of turn this moment into a moment that is focused on helping others, and when we talked about it, I reached out to Kylie because I thought, man, I didn't want this to become a conversation of people talking about an issue in the room that none of us have experienced. And Kylie, you were so gracious, man, to agree to just share your heart and your story that you're in the midst of, and praying for you, friend. Like, you're not alone. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Thank you. To say you're trying your best is different than actually trying your best. A lot of people say they're trying their best, but they couldn't have this conversation we just had.
Oh, we ain't done yet. Y'all gonna start shutting this down now.
Oh, okay.
No,
well,
I'm not.
Just saying so far.
I thought, we're going to do like
so far.
The credits rolling or something? I don't know what's going on.
But they could, I thank you for asking these direct questions, because the truth is, nobody even asked me these things.
Yeah. No. Thank y'all for the encouragement, and yeah, we'll go further with that. But for that part of the conversation, if you guys that are listening, if you're involved with a ministry similar to the Davies Shelter, or volunteering, or serving full time there, think about how you can leverage larger platforms than what you have access to get the word out, because I do think that there are more people that are willing to help than you believe.
Yeah.
I just don't think they know the when and where and how, and they don't have the capacity. They're doing what you're talking about. You just described, you were doing the bus ticket. They got their head in whatever they're doing. Yeah. And it's not that those men and women aren't willing to help, but they're doing the same thing you're doing in their own lives. And they just have to hear something that snaps them out of that and says, here's an opportunity. And I do think there are more people that's willing than what we see showing up, because we haven't got innovative. This isn't a sexy topic. This isn't a conversation that's had regular, and we haven't got innovative on how to get the word out.
Well, and to that, there's two groups of people in this situation, right? There's the ignorant, and I don't mean that in a negative. It's not a negative connotation. That just don't know. When I came on here at Davies, one of the things that I said to the board as we talked through my potential coming was that I believe there are people that want to do something for somebody and give money towards something for something. They just don't know what to do, where to do it, how to give it. I believe that is a much larger number than maybe I could even imagine. When I talk about people that aren't willing, I'm talking about the people that are in the know and aren't willing. But I think the vast majority, man, we're just trying to survive. Americans, I mean, look at everything we got going on in our culture and in our world. It's like, man, I'm just trying to get from one day to the next. And so but those are the same people that have compassion and have that heart to be helpful. They just don't know when, or like you said, I think you nailed it, man. They just don't know exactly how to do that, or when to do that, or where to do that.
I'll
I'm
put a
with
little
you.
plug in for your listeners. I mean, obviously, we'd love some love at the Davies Shelter, but locally, I think everyone needs to plug into their local community because this is a local issue and it's unique to your community. But food banks, find your local food bank and donate to your local food bank. But there's been so many cuts. We used to have we used to get all of our food, and we still do, sourced here from the Atlanta food bank. Well, the Atlanta food bank had huge corporate cuts in October. Like Walmart, I don't know what's going on. You might know more about this issue than me, but basically Walmart and like all these grocery store chains like Kroger who've been funding and giving like outdated food, almost like still good, but like
Best Buy. Not spoiled. Yeah, not.
yeah,
don't
all
do it.
that was just stopped. And we got hit with it here because Atlanta got hit, and they're like none of the food banks. And the food banks, what the food banks do is all this surplus food comes in, and then it goes to like local shelters, and then it comes up here. And so then, I mean, again, it was just like this domino effect where like we couldn't get food out to people locally because of what these corporations decided to do. And I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand what caused Walmart to say we're not doing this donations anymore, but it all stopped. And there's been a food shortage since then. Well, I'll say that, not a food shortage, because
there's
we are
plenty of food out
the
there.
United States of America, and we do not have a food shortage here. We have an accessibility issue to food.
See,
that's the problem.
That's a whole nother issue.
And and as a farmer, it ticks me off because like my job is to feed people, you know, and it's like we have food here in America. Our food systems are broken, so we need people donating to food banks.
If there are any, as you guys have much more knowledge on I guess, these things than me, like if there are any websites or anything that have compiled like food banks nationally or by state or if you have those, send them to me and we'll put them in the description of this episode, so we'll make it even easier for people to be like, okay, now I just have to go down to the description, click this, it has, okay, I live in this state, okay, here's the nearest food bank. Right. If that exists, just send it to me.
No, I think it does. Years and years ago, 30-something years ago, our governor did a thing. He basically said, why aren't all the agencies that are helping people talking to each other in the state, from the local level to the state level? And he created this thing called, I'm going to forget what it's called, and I work there. It'll come back to me. But he created this thing where every county has this particular organization. And that organization is all it does, Family Connection is the name of it. Every county has a Family Connection. And in the Family Connection, what they do is they collaborate. They meet once a month they get every agency in that county to come together and say, okay, what do you have? What do you need? Are you doing okay over there? Do we have food in the food? All that. They just have these conversations. And most of all of those, so if somebody's in Georgia, they can contact their Family Connection in their county, and they will give them a trifold, quadfold on their website, all kinds of, and they will hand that to them, and it'll have every phone number, every address of every agency. Man. Yeah, it's one of the greatest things that a politician ever came up with, in my opinion. I mean, I just think he just created a network of communication. I worked there before resource. I came here in the county where I was, and our main job was, I really felt like our main job was just putting the information in the right hands, and that's what they do. And so I'm not plugging them, but I'm plugging them out. It's a fantastic resource.
Let's move the conversation just into solutions that you've seen work, and I want you guys to first bring this down to the individual listener level, the person who's listening to this podcast, right? Tangible things to be a part of the solution.
Well, even though it's a long line, assisted housing, where it is based on income, seems more sustainable than just $1,500 a month rent for the average person. I've seen that work, and maybe we need more facilities or properties that operate in that way.
And are you specifically on that? Are you talking about or kind of putting that out for people who own these properties to consider?
They consider that because it's like everybody's chasing a profit, and the house that used to be 800 is now 1,400, but it's in the same neighborhood.
You talking about allowing morality to
yes, I know it's crazy. Profit. I know I said it out loud.
Well,
yes. I'm allowing to not choose greed, but to be fair.
Wow, how dare you suggest that?
It's ridiculous. Well, you asked the question. I had no choice. It's jumped out of me.
It's great, man. No, it's great. I'm glad you swung for the fences.
Yeah, that's right.
On that
Big
one,
swing,
man.
baby. Big swings.
Dude, but straight up, there are going to be some people who listen to this who own multiple rental homes,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to make them think. I don't know. That's up to you. How you react to that. It's something to consider.
Wouldn't it be cool if we could get somebody to consider, some sort of government official to consider, if somebody were to do that with their own private property, were to make it affordable, maybe we give them a 20% break on their taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, just, because you just, the numbers, and I don't have them in my head, but the numbers are astronomical of what it costs a city or a county to have people who are homeless living there. Just the sheer money and just the cost of that scenario. So yeah, wouldn't that be cool, man? If we could figure out a way.
That would be absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, I plan to run for governor of Georgia.
All right.
At some point in my life, and
well,
I may be in my 60s by the time that happens.
I've also been thinking, what if we told churches, because churches don't have to pay property tax. Now I got preacher friends that are probably going to put me on that list. But churches don't pay property taxes. What if churches all had every church had a meeting and said, hey, I tell you what, we don't have to pay property taxes, but why don't we find the senior adults in our community who are in arrears when it comes to their own property taxes, and they're going to lose their home.
Right.
What if we took what we should be paying and split it amongst them? I mean, there's just, it's not rocket science. One thing that I have seen work that anybody can do, and I had to learn this from a little Hispanic girls that we took on a mission trip to Little 5 Points. Taught me something that day that I've never forgotten, and it works every single time. Make a difference in the life of one of our neighbors experiencing homelessness. Learn their names.
Mm.
You walk up to somebody and you put your hand out and you say, hey, I'm Matt. What's your name? Friend for life. I had no idea how little anybody who is experiencing homelessness gets their name called. And it's just an act of decency. And it's just hey, we're the same. Here's my name. What's your name? I want to know who you are, right? That gets us out. That gets me out of bed in the morning to find somebody to ask them who their name. Yeah, we need money and we need housing and we need all that junk, man. We just need to be human for a minute and love somebody enough to want to know what their doggone name is. And if we're really gutsy, maybe we just ask them their story. Tell you a little bit. Would you tell a little bit about yourself? Take your children. I commend you, Stacy. What a huge thing. To put children in the proximity of people who are run from or who are avoided, who people cross the street to not have to walk by, to put your children in that presence, just putting them there. And you're saying something, right? You're saying, I get it. You're good. You're okay. We're good. It's all good. My kids are here. I'm not worried about you. I see you. That's, to me, that works every single time, and it makes a difference. And then you start to find out, because really, what are we doing? We're fact finding. If we're going to be in this ministry, we're fact finding, man. We got to figure it out. What do you need? What's going on? How can we help you? Because we don't know. I've never been where you've been.
Right.
It's got to start somewhere, and we got to have that conversation. And the best thing I ever saw, and here's where the conviction set in. We're riding back with the little Hispanic girls, and we were talking about one of the guys with the red hat. So on and on about the adults in the room, in the van. What about that guy with the red hat? You know, that one with the red hat, he was sitting over there. He was acting a little crazy. He was singing or whatever. The guy with the red hat. And 6-year-old girl behind us goes, "Oh, do you mean Stephen?" Yeah. I cried the rest of the way home because I didn't ask anybody's name.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. We remind ourselves, and we definitely have to remind our neighbors that they are human.
Right.
I appreciate so much. I was so worried, Chad. Let me be honest with you. I was so nervous coming on here and talk about this because I was so worried that, and I don't know why I felt this way, but I guess my protective mode, that we were going to have to talk about person first language. And, but you started talking about people who are homeless, and I wanted to hug your neck, man.
Yeah.
Because homeless is not who they are. They're people first.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why when you hear me say my friends or my neighbors experiencing homelessness, and I say that around my friends who are experiencing homelessness because, number one, they're my friend or they're my neighbor or both, and they're not homeless. They're just experiencing it.
Yeah, it's temporary. To say somebody's homeless, that's a tough stance. You know,
it sounds perpetual, right?
Right.
It sounds like
permanent.
that's what you are.
But your
And that
nervous
is your
system,
identity.
but it affects your nervous system.
You hear that enough. It's
know?
like anything else, right? When somebody's labeling us in any form or fashion, you hear it enough, you start to believe it.
Right. And you're correct to learn someone's name and to take the time, you know, to humanize them but I'm a firm believer in you can't initiate yourself in someone's life if you're not going to see it through to the bitter end.
Yep.
More than just, you can't just put people in houses. Everybody has different real needs that they need to train on, to unlearn, to heal from.
Listen, that's a major need.
Yeah.
Like it's just, shelter isn't the only thing.
My mama taught me how to cook.
Right.
I know lots of people, nobody ever taught them how to
Right.
cook. And we put them in an apartment with a kitchen, and we wonder why they still coming, they're still going to the soup kitchen and they're still hungry.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Forensic, like on a real customized detail level. Because that's what love is.
Yeah, that's good.
To take your time and say, okay, well, Jimmy, he needs help grocery shopping on a budget. So let's teach him a little more about nutrition. You can, instead of buying that bag of fries, you can buy a sack of potatoes and get 10 times more fries.
You're preaching now, man.
So a good resource that we can link for that for that kind of structure is Bridges Out of Poverty.
Yeah.
It is a national program, and churches can host it, organizations can host it, and train leaders in their community to walk alongside folks that are experiencing homelessness or just folks that are experiencing food insecurity. And it's kind of a small group setting, and so you have folks that come in that, maybe your gifting is you're really good at finances, and so you come in and you can be a support and offer financial counseling. But it is is it 8 weeks? How long is the program?
Or
is it?
It's longer than 8 weeks. I'm in the program, and I'm graduating May 14th.
Congratulations!
Right on.
I never graduated high school or never been to a prom. I never, The School of Hard Knocks I graduated, but that's about it.
Valedictorian. Valedictorian.
You know, triple star general. But Bridges is amazing. It's more like a civics class where they teach you the language of society and on different levels, where they teach you about code switching, and they teach you about the real stats of how many children are in poverty. Is the population getting more help or less help? What can we do to go out and talk to business owners that can help people with disabilities keep their jobs or maintain their jobs? It is it's such a blessing to be in that class, Bridges from Poverty. It's a great place.
How do you weigh in on this, Stacy, from the like the ground level for the listener?
Man, I would say go and have that meal. Sit around the table with someone that's experiencing homelessness and eat with them.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I think that, Matt saying, calling that name, I think that's probably powerful because, like, that's the name your mama calls you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the name, that reminds you who you are. I think sitting at the table and eating, it's part of the bringing folks back in, bringing them in. I think I get this picture of, like, what was the last thing that Jesus did on this earth? It's like he brought everyone to the table.
Yep.
He
and will again. And he will again.
And he will again. Yeah. Yeah, there's something very powerful about sitting and being connected to someone. And I think that's possible for folks to do. Even if it's like you see someone on the side of the street.
Yeah.
And you go get them a meal and you sit down with them and eat with them. Take 30 minutes to eat with them if the Lord lays that on your heart.
Our favorite thing to do was my twins, when they were like 5 and 6, they were like, "Dad, let's go get a pizza." And we'd go get a pizza, and we just find somebody on the street and we sit on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Bust that pizza open. I got pictures of my little Rugrats, man, just eating pizza with 2 or 3, neighbors sitting around us just right there on the sidewalk on the ground.
Just entering in.
I mean, that's a ground level thing, man. Everybody's got a Little Caesars now. Everybody's got, cheap pizza somewhere, and just go to a camp.
I think that's the key is, like, entering in and not trying to take on, like, the whole thing or the whole person that you're interacting with. Because I think that is, like in Galatians 6:2, it says, bear one another's burdens, to be reminded by the laws of Jesus Christ, so that each person can bear their own load. I think it's something like that. I didn't get it right. But bear one another's burdens. I think that's the biggest part, so that each person can bear their own load. So it's still that sense of, like, I can come and alongside of Kylie, he can come alongside of me. We can, like, support each other, but we all have our own work to do.
Right.
We can't take that from folks. And so knowing that I think that kind of frees us up when we enter in. It postures us in a place of just really being able to enter in a posture of humbleness. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about, or we've used the word love a lot on the podcast today, and also on the episode I recorded yesterday. And Kylie just got at it a minute ago. He made a statement. He was talking about a characteristic of love, and he said that's what love is. And I think I'd be remiss if we didn't just because love has been such a big part of our conversation, I think such a big part of the need in all aspects of what we've talked about here today, we would be remiss if we didn't actually nail down what is love. Mm-hmm. we get too caught up in thinking of love as the way we feel towards something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, I would say if you asked people, just your average person, well, define love, they would try to describe it to you in some way of how they feel towards someone or how they feel in a certain moment, and that's not what it is. And the great thing, Scripture defines love for us, and I think when we read this truthful description of what love is, we'll see even deeper of how much love plays into the entire conversation that we've had today. So if you guys don't mind, I'll read this for us. The scriptures say that love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not jealous. It does not brag. It is not puffed up. It does not act unbecomingly. And it does not seek its own. It is not provoked. It does not take into account a wrong suffered. It does not rejoice in unrighteousness, but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails.
That's it.
I mean, I think it ties into what we've been talking about here today.
Yeah.
And, man, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chad.
And well, Lord willing, we'll continue along this mission and have you guys back and maybe even create some video content. Which is a lot of fun and
It'd be awesome.
really impactful. And I love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you.
Man.
Love you
Yeah.
too, friend.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you.
We will attach a link in the description of this episode to the Davies Shelter. If you guys aren't local and you want to support the Davies Shelter, you guys can always donate on the website and support their mission if you feel led to do so. So check it out, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Enough said.